everybody, it's Chris from Pneutech here, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about dust collectors and pulse valves. Every application, although it's the same, there's a little bit of difference between them, but there's one thing they're going to have in common, is that they're going to have pulse valves on them. Currently, you'll be running a diaphragm style pulse valve. Now, diaphragm technology, it's about 60 years old, and has had very, very few changes along the way, up until now. The Mac valve, it's a spool valve, Mac's patented balanced pilot, going to give you three major advantages. Advantage number one, improving reliability. Number two, significantly reducing your energy costs. And number three, improving your bag life. Let's run through all three of those factors one by one. Reliability. Inside your diaphragm valve, we have a diaphragm. That diaphragm is good for around 1 million cycles. Compare that to the Mac valve with our spool. It's a bonded spool, 10 million cycles. That's 10 times the life of the valve. That's 9 times you don't have to send a fitter up a ladder to go and fix it. The second one, reducing your energy costs. Now, the Mac valve will pulse in a shorter time and using less air per pulse. We're talking about 8 to 10%, which isn't really all that exciting and worth writing home about. But the advantage of the Mac valve is that when it pulses, it's actually knocking more dust off the bag. And by doing that, we don't have to pulse as often. So we can increase the time in between pulsing. That is where we can get those major energy savings. Up to 60%, which is incredible on a unit like that. The third one being extending the bag life. The bag's cleaner, they don't clog up as often. We can usually extend them out to potentially twice the time that you're currently running. Now let's talk about ease of installation. Okay, nobody wants to do pipe work. So the easiest way we can get these valves on, you've got your existing valve body, which is potentially connected up to your pipes. We remove the top bolts, remove the lid, remove the diaphragm. Pneutech has a full range of adapter plates to suit all the different varying valves on the market to be able to accommodate for the Mac valve. We get our plate, which is fully sealed, presses on, bolts on with 4 bolts. Once that's bolted in, we then take the Mac pulse valve, bolt it directly on top of the existing unit, and then you can either connect your remote air hose or your DIN plug. Very, very simple. No pipe work required. So a max range of valve with the PVO3, which suits 3/4 and 1 inch pipe work, all the way up to our PVO6, which covers our 1.5 inch units. Again, same setup as previous. We have a plate here, which will bolt directly onto the base, and then our larger valve bolts directly on top. Again, very, very simple. Now, I mentioned before about energy savings, and that's the big factor with these. How do we save energy? I mentioned that we pulse faster. How do we achieve that? The way the diaphragm valve works is internally, there's a very small transfer chamber. So it's using its own air, comes up over the top side of the diaphragm to hold the diaphragm in its closed position. Basically, we're getting the air and we're holding air inside there, holding the diaphragm down. When we energise this valve, we're releasing that air in the top, exhausting it out, letting the diaphragm open and the air pass through the valve. When it's time to close that valve, we're basically choking up that air, letting it build up through a pinhole-sized transfer chamber. Air pressure is going to build up, it's then going to close down the diaphragm. Now that is a rather lengthy, when I say lengthy, we're talking 100 milliseconds, but 100 milliseconds in these valves is a very long time. So what's Mac done to improve this issue? They've come up with a bonded spool. Okay, that's a bonded spool, it's rubber, bonded onto an aluminium slug, which has been precision ground. It's also been case hardened. So that runs up and down inside our bore here. That spool is driven apply a pilot valve. So we're positively driving that spool backwards and forwards. Because we're driving positively in a forwards direction and a backwards direction, a closing direction, we can crack that spool backwards and forwards about 100 milliseconds faster than you can with a diaphragm. So that shorter, sharper pulse is what delivers our energy savings. We clean more dust off the bag, which means we can extend out our time in between pulses. Now, where do we get our figures from on that? This is information that we need to collect from the customers. Every single max sale of valves, and every quote that we put out to the customer comes with an ROI, a return on investment. Most of the time, we find that our ROI can be within 12 months, which is a fantastic saving for your company. Each quote we send out is site-specific, and it comes with your data from your site, so it's very, very accurate. So here at Pneutech, we're still very hands-on. We love coming out to site, climbing up your ladders, having a look at these things ourselves, working through with your site champion on how we can save you guys potentially up to 60% on your dust collector.